Welcome to Cigar Time. Oh, well, that's all right. I'm sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
That was last week.
My bad. Go ahead.
That's right. Welcome back to Cigar Time, your ever so friendly neighborhood show all about the premium cigars. Yeah.
Friendly neighborhood cigar superstore.
Yeah, that's true.
Your friendly neighborhood narco agent friendly.
So we were wondering how you guys liked last week's show with the proprietors of the other 3 cigar stores companies. I thought it was a pretty good show.
We should have them call in. Have people call in. Here, call me.
555.
1212.
So, well, welcome back.
Well,
you guys
thank
weren't here last week.
That's
Welcome
true.
That's true.
Yeah,
It's good to be back, although
Yes.
I have to say that was some excellent television with the other retailers.
Yeah, it was really good.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it was all Scott's
It was
idea.
a great idea.
Well,
It was.
actually, it wasn't. It came from a discussion with one of our brokers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, what are we smoking today? Welcome back, guys. Thanks. What are we smoking today, Scott?
Carrillo Short Run Maduro. Paul can tell you the blend.
No, I can't.
It's got a Maduro wrapper.
That I can tell you. And it's actually
It's San Andreas, isn't it?
for my.
Really?
I don't think so.
I don't know. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
I shall look it up.
seems too sweet for St. Andrews.
It does. This has.
St. Andrews tends to be spicier and earthier
Yeah.
than this.
Yeah, but the filler tobacco taste. This is very sweet tobacco taste on this. So I'm assuming it probably has a lot of nicotine in it.
I
think?
No.
You think?
Well,
Have
before,
you not
I
had
find
this
that-
before?
I have. I had smoked one, actually yesterday, or no, the day before, Monday. I smoked one.
before we started, actually before we turned the cameras on and all this, we were actually smelling the foot of the cigar.
Yeah.
And Rob and I had distinct different flavors on our
Yeah.
aromas
I'm
from
getting
our cigar.
a distinct sweet nicotine or tobacco smell.
And mine's it's like a barnyard, very hay.
Very hay. And
Very
we switched cigars, and we both and I definitely smelled the hay in his cigar. It's totally different. I wonder why.
Blah, 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 blah. Contains Honduran tobacco, leaf he hasn't used, which is shipped in. The wrapper is a Connecticut broadleaf. The binder is
is?
Ecuadorian. The fillers are a mix of Nicaraguan, Mexican, and Honduran tobaccos. See, we're prepared. I already cut mine.
That's a complex blend, actually.
It is.
Yeah.
And I think, even though you didn't ask yet,
What's your first
I
impression?
think right out of the box, it has that perfect classic Maduro flavor. A little bit sweet, a little bit earthy, almost raisinish, but it's smooth. It doesn't bite.
Yeah, you can taste the sweetness. It's a very rough looking wrapper.
That's Connecticut broadleaf. It's thick and rugged.
Huh.
Moose, have you had this before?
Nope.
I know you have. No, you've never had this before either? Wow.
So what's your first impression?
It's not as, bless you.
Oh, damn.
It's not as sweet as I thought it would be. There's a lot going on, though.
There's more sweet on the cold draw than there is on the smoke.
Yeah. Moose, what about you? That you just lit it up.
Just lit it up.
Are you getting any sweetness from it though?
I don't know yet.
Oh, you're smoking the bigger.
Yeah,
You know what?
I had the 60 ring gauge.
Yeah.
I'm getting, make fun of me, but honestly, I'm getting a little bit of that currant, or like
Right.
sort of like a cherryish, but it's real like very, 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 very subtle. It's almost like the finish after you have like a sour cherry or something. That the finish of
Or a
that.
black cherry, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. You're right. Black cherry. That's exactly right. Oh wow, that's like really pronounced in the finish.
and it's a great flavor. I mean, it's
I feel like, well, only if you like black cherry.
Oh yeah.
well.
Which I
How
do.
often do you
I like-
get that in a cigar?
Whenever I dip it in black cherry soda.
Oh, okay.
This would be paired nicely with a Frank's black cherry.
Wrong show.
Yeah, it's next show. In a half hour. Outlet show.
Okay. Paul, you had a demonstration?
Well, I wanted to talk today
charge of
about
the show.
something that
Shut up.
probably a lot of you have experienced and maybe didn't give it a name. We have a name for it here.
Yes, we
We
do.
tend to
Monop-
call, and you'll understand this when I show you, but we call it over-under cigars.
No, I'm sorry. You call it that.
We do. Here.
You're wrong.
What do you call
You
it?
too?
Yeah.
I call
No.
it underfilled and overfilled.
No, over-under is overpriced and underfilled.
Oh, I've never heard that before.
Yeah. Overpriced, underfilled.
What cigar is that, Paul?
Well, I'm not going to tell you because
trying to get
I
away
don't
from it.
want to cast aspersions on anyone. But here's the thing. You take a cigar, this is a good cigar. It's from a very reputable manufacturer. It's not a cheap cigar. It's not a mixed fill or anything like that. And it feels firm.
Right.
Feel it. It feels the way the cigar should feel.
I feel like this is one of those magic shows. Look, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Nothing up my sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little soft. It's got good roll.
It's well rolled.
Let Moose feel.
It's well rolled.
All right, anyway, while we're talking about other stuff, I'm going to light this because what happens once it warms up is where the action is.
Ah.
Oh?
Once you're done talking about this, Scott and I, Scott has something to talk about the, what was that, the article you read? Stop.
There was a report was done by the National Academies of Science, Engineering, and Medicine, and I believe it was commissioned by the FDA, and it was regarding the premium cigars, the pattern of use, the marketing, and the health effects. It's about I think it's 521-page document, and there is a summary behind it, fortunately, and I pulled out some of what I think are the salient points that came from this, and there's some of the stuff I think warrants discussion on our part. One that, and these are things that are really stuck out to me, is that 1% of the U.S. population smokes premium cigars.
Right.
Now let's clarify. Well, it's tough to clarify what a premium cigar is. And this report gets into a lot of that. Is there's no clear definition from any one entity on what a premium cigar is. There are certain characteristics. Has a wrapper fully made from tobacco. At least 50% is of the filler is tobacco. It has something to do. I think it's 1,000 units or 1,000 cigars weigh 6 pounds or more, which is that's nothing. I'm trying to see if I didn't put down the definition, but they made a distinction between premium cigars, what they call large cigars, and I think the difference between premium and large are what we call domestics, or the like the backwoods
Mass
and,
market.
Phillies blunt, stuff like that would
Machine
be considered a large machine. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, made by hand, Paul. Thank you. Is a premium cigar.
Is a premium cigar.
And one of the other things that I noticed in everything that I read is the last piece of the premium cigar is that didn't say. I'm trying to remember the exact phraseology, but it indicated that it came only tobacco, and natural tobacco flavors. So I believe they distinguished stuff that's infused from a premium cigar. So like acid, etc., were not included in premium cigars.
I think a lot of consumers would also separate things like infused cigars from premium cigars. Some.
I wouldn't. No.
I don't think it is either.
No,
I wouldn't.
no, I don't want to throw the rest of the market under the bus. Just,
No.
But,
I just mean in terms of their day-to-day experience.
right now, and I want to clarify that the loose definition that I just gave was what this National Academies of Science, et cetera, that was the parameter they set up. That is not a recommendation that that's what a premium cigar is defined as, and it's not, the FDA has not adopted that. But okay, so 1% of the U.S. adult population smokes premium cigars, or the stuff that we just described, which is
Stuff we sell.
very, 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 very tiny. It's like almost like 1% of the population.
Okay,
You didn't get that?
I get it.
It's almost 1%. They also said the premium cigar among youth is extremely rare, which is something that
We've known
We've
for a
known
long
for a long
time.
time.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. We card people. We don't. I mean, no reputable tobacconist is purposely selling to people who are underage.
That's true.
Now this starts off, that sounds almost negative, but it's, if you think about it, it's not. And he said the ingredients in premium cigars, ingredients make them inherently as harmful as cigarettes or other types of cigars. Correct. It's tobacco. But, and this is where the emphasis of this report is that how they are used really comes into play when it comes to the health risk.
Right.
It says because majority of premium smokers, number one, are non-daily or occasional. So of that 1%, we're an anomaly.
Yes.
Like people
Well, yeah.
people who are hanging out in the store and smoking a couple cigars a day are the anomaly.
Right.
Of the 1% of the population that even smokes premium cigars. And he says they also say this because the risk is lower because most cigar smokers don't inhale.
Right.
Like I don't. Now they did get into, like, some of the recommendations were on there. Further study needs to be done on people who went from cigarettes to cigars, or who smoke both.
Right.
And on the health risks involved there, because they may be more likely to
Right.
inhale. What I thought was interesting is they, one of the reasons they think that, or this agency that did this report thinks people don't inhale, is because of the pH level of the tobacco in cigars versus that in cigarettes. Now I don't know if that's true. I've never had any interest in inhaling, and most people that I know that smoke cigars have no interest in inhaling.
No.
But they say they believe that's one of the reasons that cigars are not inhaled. Whether or not that's true, I don't know.
Every
I think it has
time-
more to do with the fact that when somebody first starts smoking a cigar, they try to inhale it,
Yeah.
and
Especially if
they
they're a
and
former
they never
cigarette
do it
smoker.
again.
Right, but and I think what they're saying is because that pH level is so much higher that it's difficult to inhale because
Yeah.
the intensity of the smoke.
I carry a pH meter with me, and before I light up a cigar, I measure it, and if the pH is too high, I won't inhale, but if it's low enough, no, I'm only kidding.
But the toxicant, they talk about the toxicants and the carcinogens in a cigar versus other tobacco products, and a cigarette, are basically the same. And again, they stated that each smoker's health risks from smoking cigars, and I'm reading this verbatim, vary based on how frequently he or she smokes cigars, the duration of the smoke, and how deeply the smoke is inhaled. So it's kind of like what we've been saying, is that cigars are inherently different than cigarettes because they're used differently. It's almost like comparing, Time magazine has pictures and stories, and it's published on paper. But is that the same exact thing as Playboy or Hustler? I mean, it's basically the same thing.
Stories and
but
They're magazines.
they're magazines.
But that's it.
Exactly. So that's something sort of that we've talked about.
There was something in there also about secondhand smoke.
That it requires further study.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Because they don't, because of the differences in the pH levels and stuff like that, they don't think that the smoke is the same, and they're not sure about the health risks of secondhand smoke.
I think also, and Scott, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that study did not look at chemical additives to other tobacco products like cigarettes that might affect the way it impacts on your
they
health.
didn't, because this was specifically about cigars. So they did. I don't think they did
But
any.
Right, but
when they define the constituent elements of a cigar and say those carry the same risks as the constituent elements of a cigarette. That's true of the tobacco, but it's not true of all the additives
right,
that
that's
are in
true.
a cigarette and not in a cigar.
And in the smoke, when you smoke a cigarette, all the stuff that's in that smoke is different than what's in the
True.
smoke of a
Yeah,
cigar.
no, I don't. I went through the summary and I got about 80 pages into this report. And no, that I don't remember seeing anything like that. Something else is they said only about 5% of premium cigar smokers, so this is 5% of the 1%, are considered daily users, which us. So that's, I mean, now you're talking, I mean, you can do the math. You know,
What was that?
1%
So I'm
of
as
the
good as
population is what? No, it can't be right. 3 million?
3.5.
3.5 million.
Yeah.
So 5% of that is 150,000. 3,000 per state are daily cigar smokers. So all this regulation is for
Yeah.
that
For-
very,
for-
very
For less
A
than
tiny population.
right.
less than 250,000 people.
Yeah, they also said that there's insufficient evidence to draw conclusions on the health effects of cigars on youth or young adults. And actually, the other thing is, this surprised me a lot, is they found that most cigar smokers are predominantly older and Caucasian,
Yeah.
which
I saw that too.
that surprised me. So there's no, they don't have information on to draw conclusions on the health effects on racialized or ethnic populations, on pregnancy, those with underlying medical conditions.
So then why are they regulating it?
Because it has
Because
tobacco.
that's what they do.
Because it's the same
They
as
have
a
no
cigarette.
information, but
But
yet it's just what they believe.
That's the FDA.
We
and-
think
and
they are.
Yes.
Oh, we think it can do this.
Correct.
We think it can do that. But, so we're going to regulate it anyway.
Correct.
That's just a half-ass way of doing things, man.
Absolutely, absolutely, and well, I mean, the FDA asked for this, and this is a separate entity from the FDA. So this is, and they're just presenting information. This organization, they're not drawing any conclusions.
Or even making recommendations. They're just laying out facts as they found them.
Right. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting.
It is.
Yes.
Very telling, I don't know. Well, none of us. We can speculate all we want on what this is going to mean for our industry, but who the heck
Probably
knows?
nothing.
Probably.
Hopefully.
For another
I
10
also,
for another 10
on
years.
a separate, in Denmark is proposing that Denmark is proposing a ban on the sale of tobacco products to anybody born after 2010. So at some point, tobacco will be illegal
In Denmark.
in Denmark, correct. I think New Zealand has done the same thing or something similar.
That's just crazy.
I know.
That's the
Where are
exact
they-
opposite of what they did in the Czech Republic, where they started promoting cigarette smoking among senior citizens so they would die and not be a drain on their social security system.
That's just
I
ridiculous.
kid you not.
No, I believe you.
Well, that's stupid
just
on a number of
stupid.
levels, least of which is it takes a lifetime to develop
To develop-
illness.
yeah, exactly.
You got to start when somebody's 20.
Yeah.
And then by the time they're,
I didn't say it was a good idea. I
Yes,
just
you
said
did.
it was their
That's
idea.
brought it
ridiculous.
up.
Where are they going to get that revenue from then? If there's no tobacco, I mean, tobacco taxes or cigarette tax, the tax on cigarettes and all that stuff, brings in a ton of money to the states, their individual state. So, once they lose that revenue stream,
Something else has
something
to go
else
up.
has to be taxed. That means taxes are going to go up somewhere else. That's just stupid. That's just lack of forethought. That's all.
I want to come back to
Okay.
my over-under for a second. So when you smoke a cigar, sometimes you find a soft spot. And when you do, you know that that means it was a slight defect in the rolling. It means that the roller didn't pack the leaf in just right. However, there's a different effect, and this is what we call over-under. And if you look, this entire cigar is squishable, completely squishable. That is not a defect or an accident. That is a conscious decision to roll the cigar with less tobacco in it. And it is my fear, a little bit my experience, but mostly my fear, that companies are doing this as a quiet way to save money. It may or may not affect the flavor of the cigar. If it's really underfilled, it's going to burn hot and it's going to taste hot. This particular cigar, for example, tastes perfect. It's just ridiculous to pay full price for 3/4 of a cigar, basically.
Well, I don't get why it tastes the same. Now, if they're using less tobacco, which means they're missing an
They're blending it.
ingredient, they're keeping an ingredient. It's like in food. You take an ingredient out, you're not going to get that same
Well,
taste.
no, but think of it a different way.
In cigars, when they're blending it, they blend it. They blend it with that in mind. So we need to put this particular series of tobaccos in it to keep the flavor. But if we just take out one leaf of each, that's
or
the way we
one piece
blended
of
it.
each, or an eighth of an ounce of each. So the blend stays the same,
That's
but
just-
the total amount of tobacco in the cigar goes down.
I'm trying to work that through in my head.
Yeah, that just doesn't make sense though.
because
Because whatever you take out is going to change the taste.
well, no,
Well,
I'm
no,
thinking,
no,
I'm
they
thinking about
blend the cigar in such a way as that we're going to use less leaf, and
But
we want
still-
But
this.
there's only
same-
so many leaves that you can put in a tobacco, in a cigar, to make it. How many tobaccos make up a Robusto? 5 or 6?
5.
Okay, 5 leaves of tobacco make up. So you take 4. So now you're making 4, and it changes. Whatever you don't put in it is going to change
no.
the
I
taste.
think he's saying they're putting
They're putting
less.
the same things in, just less. So it's the same 5 leaves, but you know how when they're bunching, they rip off the end and stick it in.
Yeah.
So they rip off the end and they don't stick it in. So if they do that with each leaf, the total weight of the cigar could be reduced by 10 or 15%. But the blend is still, the relationship
what
between
you're
the
saying.
different
They do it
tobaccos
from
are
the
the
very.
same.
They do it from the very beginning, when they had the concept of the cigar.
Right.
and
I
they're
see. But what would be the purpose of that? Like, what? So they
Saving
break.
money.
Save money.
more
What-
cigars.
What, how are they saving money though? They have that tobacco,
They use that in the next cigar.
but if it's only just they're breaking off a little bit of the tip, they can't. There's
It's
not
not.
enough.
It's not just the tip. What they do as
Yeah,
as they're bunching, they rip off it's like a chunk.
A handful. But it doesn't
Depending on
make
what
any
size
sense.
cigar
If you
they're
want to make
making.
more money out of a cigar, just charge more for it.
Well, as you see in the supermarket business, a lot of companies are making their package smaller instead of making their price higher. And this is, in effect, the same idea. I think it's a bad way to do it. I'm not saying that this is okay. I'm horrified, frankly.
I understand, but you agree that box of cigars, whatever box of cigars you pick out there, that cigar costs $1 to make, correct?
Okay.
All right, there's 20 cigars in there, so that's $20. Then you add $3 to $5 for the box. Then you add $8.20 or $8.40 for the tax. So now you're at how much? You're at just over $30 a box. Then and it costs us a lot more than that. So they say, okay, this box costs us $35. We're going to charge $95 for the box. And they just picked the number out of the air.
All right. Let
Correct?
me take exactly what you said, because you're largely correct. Now, take that idea. You said it cost $1 to make a cigar.
Okay.
So we use that as an
It's
example.
just a round number.
Suppose that was now 85 cents, and you make 40 million cigars a year. That's 15 cents times $40 million. Times 40 million cigars. That's big savings for a company in this business.
How many companies make 40 million cigars a year?
Probably 5 or 6.
Okay. No, I understand that, but that's
It's a percentage cost of goods play. It's not a good one.
so raise your price 15 cents.
That's what I would do.
Give the customers value
A
in what they're
legit product.
right. Exactly.
And I think that that's
Let me go
sort of,
stand over there while you do that.
I just want to see if it's visible that there's a hollow middle.
It's not going to be visible to any of us. Maybe you.
Well, if I can get this apart without shaking it to pieces, I'll be in good shape. This is a beautiful wrap.
It is a gorgeous wrapper. Well, while we're doing that, let's put a number on this cigar. We're almost out of time.
I'm
Okay.
enjoying this. It's very tasty. I do get the cherry you were talking about earlier, black cherry. It's a dark cigar, and it's a lot sweeter than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I give it a 9.
Okay. Roscoe.
I'm getting a. I think this happens with Maduro. It feels a little wet, I don't know, over humidified. I had a little bit of trouble keeping it lit, and it tastes. Getting a little bit of a metallic or sour flavor or something out of it. So it's a good cigar. I would pick another one up and smoke it. I'll give this one an 8.75.
Is it metallic or mineral? A mineral taste.
Metallic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul? I know you smoke a lot of these cigars.
I do. What's surprising to me about this cigar is that it's fundamentally mild. The flavors
Yeah.
are really good. They're rich, but it's a mild cigar. It's very mellow. I love this cigar. I think this is what a good Maduro should taste like. I give it a 9.5.
Nice. Yeah, when people look at this cigar, they're going to say, oh, that's a full-bodied cigar because it's so dark. But it's not. It has to do with the filler tobacco. And
And that's the part that surprised me and made it more pleasurable for us.
right. It's good. I like it. I do get the cherry taste. Reminds me of cherry.
Right.
As an aftertaste, not when I
It's
smoke
not a
it.
predominant flavor.
Right, exactly.
on the finish.
It's very good. I agree with Moose. I give this cigar a 9. I think it's very good. So, what did you find out? Could you
What I
tell?
found out is that there are a lot, instead of there being fewer small pieces, there's more small pieces. There's a lot of this kind of stuff.
See,
It's
Really?
not short filler.
is it medium filler?
It's almost
Mixed?
mixed. What this brand doesn't call it that, and I think you would find a lot more of this than you'd expect scattered throughout the industry.
Wow, that's a
I'll
shame.
I'll pay more attention to that.
That's a shame.
The other thing, and this is just a wild speculation. I know we don't have time. So
Yeah.
well, the other thing that is a wild speculation on my part is that as more and more people are using, you know the name of it,
Lieberman
the
device.
Lieberman device, that might result in a looser roll by itself unless you overpack it.
Well, they can adjust that to how much
They can.
maybe it's just
We would
looser.
have to.
All right, we got to go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget our
Smoke 'em if you
outlet
got 'em.
show
Right
immediately
after this.
finding.
Life's too short to smoke
Ciao
cheap
for now,
cigars.
everybody.